Alright, so anyway, they go through Mirkwood, and then eventually they happen upon the elves of Mirkwood, which actually isn't great, because dwarves and elves really don't get along at all. Dwarves and elves, they fucking hate each other. I don't even know why. Oh, because elves are the firstborn, so they're kind of like, oh, we're the firstborn, we're better than everyone else. And then dwarves were created by this other guy. Alright, we're getting into stuff that doesn't really matter. Alright, but anyway. So they get taken captive by the elves, and it's actually a pretty good setup compared to what they had before, because at least they get, like, food, you know. But they don't get to communicate with each other very much, and, like, it kind of sucks. But then they devise this plan to escape. I think it's a Bilbo who thinks of the plan, because Bilbo's the brains of the operation, because dwarves, not very bright. They make really nice stuff. They're just not terribly intelligent dwarves, for the most part. Anyway, so they go, the elves are gonna have a festival, and they have some elvish wine. Some wine, yes. And, they're going to have it at the thing. And so Bilbo's like, hey, barrels! They throw the barrels into the river after they're done with the wine, so we should go into the barrels and then they'll throw us in the river and we'll go down the river and we'll get out of this place. And everyone's like, hey, that's a great idea! And so they do that. And then the elves sing, like, a little song when they throw the barrels in the water and, like, some other stuff, and it's not really that important. Anyway, they go into the river, right? And then they pop out in this town. It's a town that is... It's a river town, yes. And, what's it called?
Dale.
Yeah, it's Dale. It's called Dale. It's Men of Dale, all that stuff. Dale, yes. Dale. Alright. It's right by the Lonely Mountain. How very convenient. The Lonely Mountain is in sight of Dale. Wow! Isn't that interesting how these things happen? And so, they pop out of the barrels. They're all cramped. They're like, oh man, I pissed on myself like 17 times. But everyone, for the most part, is pretty okay. Some of the dwarves almost drown because they're dwarves, and they're like, oh, very heavy. And they, like, it's hard to be a dwarf sometimes. But it's okay. And so they get out of the barrels, and they're like, alright, what now? And they're like, oh, look, the Lonely Mountain's over there. So they go camp out by the Lonely Mountain, right? And they see Smaug. Smaug the dragon. His name is Smaug. Yes. And they see Smaug, and Thorin Oakenshield is like, damn, that fucking dragon took all our goddamn treasure, that shithead. He doesn't like that dragon very much. No, the dwarves do. And Bilbo's pretty much just like, how are we gonna kill the dragon? Dragons are really smart. Don't trust a dragon. Dragons can trick you into doing things. Dragons like to have long, confusing conversations. Don't trust a dragon. Okay? Don't trust a dragon. Alright. So they see Smaug and they're like, oh damn, we gotta kill Smaug somehow. So, like the geniuses that they are, they're like, oh, we should really avoid provoking Smaug. They have this conversation. They're like, okay, but while we're thinking of a way to defeat Smaug, we should avoid provoking him so that he won't attack us. That said, they provoke him so that he attacks them. Yes, they do that. And then all the dwarves are like, shit, and they try to kill this dragon, but they're eventually like, oh, well, okay, and the dragon starts heading towards the town of Dale. Dale, with nice people in it. The people of Dale are pretty cool guys, and they head towards Dale, right? The dragon. And, the dwarves are like, oh, well, it's not our problem anymore. And everyone tries to kill the dragon, right? Except nothing happens, and this guy comes out. This man, not a dwarf, not a hobbit, not any of the people who were enlisted to kill Smaug, but this random guy. His name is Bard. It's a weird name, but his name is Bard, and he has this cool black arrow, and he shoots it at Smaug, and he hits Smaug right in his, I don't know, soft underbelly, yes, except Smaug sat on top of his treasure for so long that he had, like, jewels and coins embedded into his stomach, which is, like, really disgusting, but... Alright, so he kills Smaug, right, and Smaug, like, and he dies. And Bard's like, hey, I'm awesome, and everyone else is like, yeah, Bard, you're totally cool! And then... the dwarves are like, oh, you killed the dragon! How convenient! Bye! And everyone's like, you fucking assholes. Our whole town almost got burned down because of you, and you just leave, and the dwarves, they just leave. And they go back into the mountain where all the treasure is. They're like, hey, now that Bard killed Dragon, I think we're just gonna take all this treasure. And Thurin's like, oh, the heart of the mountain. The heart of the mountain is this really cool, gigantic gem. It's huge. It's like this giant diamond or something. But it shines with many colors. And you can just look at it for a super long time. It's really cool. It's the heart of the mountain. And Thurin wants it because it's somehow significant to his family or something. Or maybe he just likes really big shiny things. I mean, don't we all? He maybe wanted to make like a ring out of it. I don't know. But he wants it. So he gets it eventually. Bilbo finds it, I think, at first, because Bilbo finds everything, because he's a hobbit, I don't know. Anyway, Thurin gets a hold of it. And then they end up having some kind of liaison with the elves. Right? The elves show up.
They do.
And they have to negotiate with the elves, because the elves are like, you guys are kind of dicks, and like, some people are going to attack you, some goblins are on the way to attack you, and like, you really should not provoke dragons or people. Oh, shit! I forgot this whole thing. I forgot this whole part. Okay. Rewinding. They meet this guy, alright? This huge guy. He's huge. He's a huge guy, okay? He's huge. His name is Bjorn. Bjorn. He can turn into a bear. I don't know what else to say about it. For a while they stay at his house and he can turn to a bear. And at night he completely disappears and everyone is like, oh, what's that noise? Is that ripping and tearing and growling as if a bear's outside? Yeah, because that's him. He's a bear. Alright? He turns into this giant, huge bear! It's totally awesome. He's great. And so, anyway, they leave his house and they go on the rest of their adventure and eventually Smaug, blah blah blah, shot with an arrow. This is a lot longer than the other one was. Alright, anyway. So the goblins are negotiating with the elves for a while, and then Bilbo goes over to the side of the elves, and the dwarves are negotiating with the elves. And Bilbo eventually leaves the dwarves, and he goes over to negotiate with the elves, because Bilbo just wants everyone to get along. And the dwarves just want treasure. And everyone's like, dude, maybe you should, like, divide the treasure amongst all the dwarves and the men of Dale. And women of Dale, I guess. And Bilbo, since they all helped you out, but the dwarves are like, no, we won't do the treasure for ourselves, my precious. And so, that happens. But this whole thing gets kind of interrupted by the fact that goblins attack! And then some wargs attack with them, and it's a bad scene all around. And then the dwarves call an army to help them out, and there's some elves helping too. It's a battle of how many armies?
5.
5 armies. I forget who the other armies are. I forget. I know there's some dwarves and some goblins there, and a hobbit and some elves. I don't know. 5 armies there were. 3 I can remember, the others I don't know. Anyway, so, 5 armies, right? Okay, and things look bleak. The goblins are gaining on them. Everything is, the goblins are gonna get the treasure, man. It's just, and there's only like this much book left, and it looks like they might actually lose the coming battle. But that never happens in Tolkien, because the forces of good always have to prevail, right? So all of a sudden, the bear guy shows up! He's a bear! He's a huge bear! He just attacks everyone, he kills them, and everyone's like, oh, that's a bear guy! The bear guy! He kills everyone! Yes, the bear guy! He kills everyone! It's great! He's the best! And so everyone's like, thank you, Bjorn, for being such a... Oh, the eagles show up too, because the eagles are the fucking... They always show up. Anyway. Bear guy. Eagles. They win. They divide the treasure amongst themselves, except fucking, I don't know, no one ever considered the logistics of this, but there's way too much treasure in the mountain for Bilbo to carry back home. He's a hobbit! He's 3 feet tall, there's like this much treasure, there's miles worth of treasure. And so Bilbo's eventually like, oh, I think I'll keep staying in a few coins and whatever, but I'm already rich, so I don't really need all this treasure. And he goes along his merry way, and he goes home, and then the he lives there for like 100 more years or something, and that's the end of The Hobbit. It's really kind of anticlimactic, isn't it? Well, it's not actually that anticlimactic, because then begins the Lord of the Rings, and the ring, and the one ring, and one ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them, in the land of Mordor, where the shadows lie. That, my friends, is The Hobbit. I hope you've enjoyed this. Goodbye.